people think that the way the National Mall looks right now is the way it's always been for the last 200 years, and in fact, it has been evolving over time, and it will continue to.
Beyond Granite really demonstrates the possibilities of a curated temporary artwork program, expanding the range of stories while protecting the cherished spaces of the National Mall.
Temporary artworks can do what permanent memorials cannot. They can adapt and evolve. They can expand and respond to current events. They can engage the public directly as part of the experience. They can be of a moment, not just of a time.
We did a fair amount of public engagement and listening sessions. We heard things that were kind of saddening, that people feel that the mall was made for them or they didn't see themselves in anything that was happening there.
Pulling together is about coalition. It's inspired by that day when Marian Anderson sang against the backdrop of a segregated nation's capital. Educator and activist Mary McLeod Bethune said that was a pulling together of splendor, of real democracy. The more that we can see the past, present, and future in one shared frame, we can live more fully. We can envision ways that we live together in the future.
We also invited artists whose diversity of styles would also reflect the diversity and the plurality of the mall itself.
The artists spent a lot of time shaping projects based on their visits here to the mall and the relationships between the monuments and the memorials that exist here and the layers of history that they wanted to summit.
I think that if there was only one artist, you would feel the weight of having to repair the erased histories, of dealing with the present moment, and you would also try to figure out how to speak of the future.
From looking at the mall and observing the way people engage with the monuments and all the observance of the people who've passed, I feel like it's missing this idea of fun, of joy, of celebration.
I think I've always kind of felt the missing stories. The mall just felt like something you couldn't touch. It's never going to change. This is what's here. To have this opportunity to have a story here for the first time has been really incredible.
There's so much that we can add to a certain narrative. We can also open up the conversation. So in order to have that conversation going, they have to be kind of next to each other to make that connection.
We're not just asking the question about what narratives have been left out. We're also asking questions about how is it that a nation could construct itself through the very process of forgetting, through the process of erasure.
Who are we as Americans? Are we who we say we are? This is a moment where we rose to the occasion of our story, where we became an incarnation of who we want to be.
Am I going to step on it? What am I going to do?
And it's also interesting because it mirrors your hand. The story of Marian Anderson concert for me is the story of the human heart and the story of love, and the moment is a monument in and of itself.
Some people will want to keep maybe a healthy distance away from it, and then the 5-year-old is going to want to try to climb on it.
You can come from every direction and access it. There's little children, there's people who are very strong. No matter who you are, you can ring this bell.
I am trying to use music for a reckoning with stories that need to be told, and the ability to do that at the scale that I'm able to imagine it on the National Mall. It's a kind of resource that I haven't had access to.
All right, so let's go through. Hear a name.
Yeah.
It's grabbing you.
Yeah, and it's in stereo too, so you'll get that dimensional effect.
You know, making public art is so complicated. So you have to have so many conversations, and you're finding so many obstacles, and each one of those obstacles is an opportunity for the piece to get better.
There is an audience for every form of art, but there's certain things that are specifically where the focus is the community. and the people who engage with the work and to activate in some ways. So this was a great challenge to do this.
The map is based on one group's experience, but I hope that when the visitors are here, they can feel their own stories and journeys and histories do matter.
Once the fence went down, kids just ran over from different parts of the park, so it's doing exactly what I hoped it to do and even more. This image is a very hopeful idea about the way America could flourish, but it also is riddled with the history of the actual photograph and when it was taken and why it was taken. This piece invites that conversation for digging a little deeper into desegregation and what the meaning of this sculpture represents.
It's just completely opposite from all the monuments around, right? Like there's not like a tower reaching the sky that looming over you, but instead it's spread out on the land. So it's a very gentle reminder of being kind to one another and also where we will return to when we leave this world.
Outside, those Afghans who was born outside of Afghanistan, they were coming back.
I really wanted to remap the escape route of the Vietnamese refugees. To decenter the established narrative that refugees only went to the US and Europe. Refugees went all over the world.
Is an opportunity to allow the submerged stories on the land to rise up through the physical bodies, through the song, through the dance, and through the movement of this ritual. Marian Anderson's 1939 Easter Sunday concert is a moment around what it means to be American, but also what it means to rise to the occasion of their humanity. I did not grow up seeing Black women in public space. If I saw a figurative representation of a Black woman that was actually made by a Black woman, I think my life would have been different.
This is like phenomenal. It just touched my heart. I like that it brings more diversity to the mall.
It's good to remind people that America has always been a melting pot.
You know, as history does go on, we need to show exactly what has been going on in history.
Something for all, it seems like it's happening, so we need much more of this.
How do you make a monument in a country that is always changing? I'm asking people what freedom is to them, because what I'm hoping to make is something that as the country changes, the monument changes with them.
I want to be free from prejudice, judgment, political tyranny, inequality.
It is open. Every single person is going to reflect on what they want, and hopefully it's a small platform where people maybe can listen to each other, which is something we're having a hard time doing.
Let all creatures thrive.
The name of this artwork is The Soil You See. That name is directly inspired from a quote by this Crow Indian scout named Curly. He came to DC in the early 1900s to attend a congressional meeting, and he had this impassioned statement about how much the land means to him. And he basically equates like the upper crust of the land is actually the blood and dust of his ancestors. So this was our very last chief of our tribe. He died in the 1930s. I think he, out of all the Crow leaders, came to DC the most. We get to hear about Washington and Lincoln, These are our founding leaders. To have that as a kid in elementary school would have been huge.
I want people to be moved, both in the affective way in terms of their emotions, but I also want the sound to vibrate in a way that it moves their physical body. This, for me, is an attempt to honor people who are dying of AIDS complications because so many people were afraid to be emotionally close to people, but also physically afraid to touch people.
We gather tonight to sing, to lament, to celebrate, to honor. And it is my hope and it is my prayer that you are moved as I have been moved by their lives. Thank you.
American history is weighty, it's knotted, it's tangled. But in this exhibition, we're also seeing what happens when you bring history to life. Even in these intense moments that we are in, we're making space for the people that want to live a fuller history and bring that out in public.
I just think the future is limitless because there are limitless amount of stories that can be told. I really just think this is the beginning of a movement to have this be an accessible place for everyone to commemorate.